The integrity of any nation's law enforcement system rests not only on its ability to fight crime, but also on the fairness and credibility of its internal processes. In Nigeria, the police remain the most visible symbol of state authority. Yet, questions continue to arise about how officers rise through the ranks. Promotion in the force is expected to reward merit, discipline, and years of dedicated service. However, allegations of favoritism, bribery, and undue influence have often cast a shadow over the system, raising concerns about morale within the force and public confidence in policing. Today on The Big Story, on Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, we examine the transparency of police promotions and the corruption allegations that have trailed the process over the years. Samson Balogun is my name, and thank you for joining us. Now, over the decades, the Nigerian policing system has repeatedly faced accusations that internal administrative procedures are vulnerable to corruption. Among the most persistent claims are allegations that promotions and postings can sometimes be influenced by money, political connections, or patronage networks rather than merit. There have been reports in past suggesting that some officers allegedly pay bribes to secure favorable posting or accelerate promotions, a practice often referred to as job racketeering. While such allegations are difficult to prove in many cases, they have remained part of public discourse and internal complaints within the system. The issue of job racketeering is not entirely new. Historically, there have been claims across different government institutions, including security agencies, that recruitment slots, transfers, and promotions may be manipulated by powerful insiders or intermediaries. However, critics argue that when such practices occur, they undermine professionalism, discourage hardworking officers, and weaken the institutional credibility of law enforcement. For a force that plays a central role in maintaining public order, transparency in promotion is crucial. Officers who believe the system reward merit are more likely to remain motivated and committed to their duties, while the public is more inclined to trust an institution perceived to operate fairly. Authorities have at different times introduced reforms aimed at strengthening accountability within the police structure. However, questions remain about how effective these measures have been and whether the promotion system today reflects the ideals of transparency and meritocracy expected of a modern policing institution. This is why today's conversation matters, and understanding how promotions work, examining the allegations of corruption, and exploring possible reforms are all critical steps towards strengthening both the police institution and public confidence in it. Good morning once again. This is The Big Story on Dominion Television. And joining me on this conversation is a very vocal public affairs analyst and, of course, a good governance advocate in person of Ofinno Ignatius Ebuseliume. Good to have you in the studio once again.
Good morning, Samson Balogun. I'm delighted to be here this morning.
Let's talk about the police system. And the police is not just being guided by the federal government. There are bodies that mitigate a lot of anomalies going on in there. And we'll talk about the Police Service Commission and some other internal bodies, administrative bodies set up by the police itself to make sure that there's a smooth running of the machine called the policing system in the country. But even at that, we have had a lot of issues as regards transparency and recruitment, promotions, and some other things. What could be the major cause of this particular crisis? Is it a systemic failure from the beginning, or it crept in along the line, and are there lasting solutions to all of this?
Thank you very much, Samson. When we are talking about the Nigerian police force, it is constitutionally being established to maintain law and order and to guarantee what is called internal security. So the Nigerian police force is one of the security agency of government. That is one thing in place. And they are non-political. They are non-tribal. The Nigerian police force is assumed to bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It does not belong to any race. It does not belong to any tribe. It does not belong to any religion. It only bears true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But it's rather sad and unfortunate that there has been series of what? Allegation and counter-allegation in respect of what we call corruption and scandal in the Nigerian police force, especially in the area of what we call promotions and postings. Now, there's one thing you must understand. When you are talking about the Nigerian police force, we have the rank and files. Now, those are the level, top hierarchy. Most of them happen to be people that are educated and people that have undergo what we call professional training in other parts of the world. You know, the Nigerian police force also participated in what we call peacekeeping mission in crisis zone of the world, especially in Africa. But it's rather sad and unfortunate that at the top hierarchy, there is a spurious allegation being leveled. And what is that allegation? Corruption scandal. Let me give you an example. Nigerians will not fail to forget the former IGP, Tafa Balogun, Tafa's Gate. During recruitment, it was told that you pay not less than 40,000 naira if you want to enlist into the Nigerian police force. People said it was true. The police hierarchy denied it. At the end of the day, it became true. When there was investigation, the IG was arrested, prosecuted according to the law, and dismissed. He was even handcuffed. The #1 police officer
in the country.
Talking about Tafa's Gate. The rest is history. The same thing applies to the former National Security Advisor to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, the Dasuki Gate. Sambo Dasuki. In respect to what? The money that was meant to buy what? Arms and ammunition in order to defend our territorial sovereignty. So when we are talking about character reform, that is the first thing that is germane. We need men and women that are honest. We need men and women that are refined in character in the Nigerian police force. But most people that are there in the Nigerian police force, I see some of them as people that are frustrated, looking for a job for years. And at the end of the day, because there was no job, they felt that let me now go and join the Nigerian police force.
Okay, now let's talk about rapid promotion or accelerated promotion, as some would call it. And in history, we have seen it happen to so many people. And in 2025, special promotion of 38 officers, which happened. In August 2025, 38 police officers were given accelerated promotion. The Inspector General defended the action, saying the officers were rewarded for exceptional service and award such as Police Officer of the Year to some people, and then they were given accelerated promotion. And example of that was CSP Shaba Aliu, promoted to Assistant Commissioner of Police. Also, there was SP Sentome Obi, who was promoted to Chief Superintendent of Police, and this was widely described as a special promotion at the time, or accelerated promotion. And also in late 2025, the IG also did the same. But on a large scale, between 2025 and 2026, from January 2025 to early 2026, the police announced over 74,000 promotions across various ranks nationwide. These included promotions from superintendent to chief superintendent and commissioner to assistant inspector general of police. Although not necessarily, rapid promotions such as large-scale exercises often raise allegations of favoritism or irregular promotional speed. Now let's go back to what it does to the system. Some say it undermines seniority and morale. Some say it encourages corruption and lobbying, leads to political and ethnic favoritism, promote officers without sufficient field experience. Now, I want to bring this to the fore. We had a conversation a few weeks ago about the new IG and how Frank Mbago had to retire. And of course, we went back in history how Frank Mbago got rapid promotion ahead of Tunji Disu, who was his by enlistment. Disu was actually his senior. But according to promotions, rapid promotions, Frank Uba was, got ahead of him in ranks and had to retire before Disu himself, who is now the Inspector General of Police in the country. Now, all of that put together, we have sent people. Does it naturally mean that that you came into office together? I mean, you got enlisted at the same time. Does it mean that you can actually remain on the same spot while others get promoted? And what are the yardsticks being used, aside from special promotion, as it is claimed by the last IG?
I don't understand. What do they mean by special promotion? You have to blame the Police Service Commission and the Grand Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the Office of the Inspector General of the Police. What is the meaning of special promotion? Promotion should be based purely on what? Competence, merit, and operational guidelines. What does the law say?
But then, constitutionally, only if it is done through Police Service Commission under the law, the legal framework says that police promotions are governed by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999, the Police Act 2020, the authority of the Police Service Commission. The Constitution gives the Police Service Commission the power to appoint, promote, and discipline police officers except the IG. Except
the IG. Why? Why the exemption? There's one thing you must understand when it comes to the issue of promotion. When you are talking about promotion, it should be based on what? Purely on what? Merit and competence and the operational guidelines. Now, when you look at the Nigerian police force, the quota system has always been the problem. The same thing also applies in the Nigerian army too. The same thing also applies in our admission process in this country. The quota system is a fraud in this country. The quota system. So when you are talking about people who are showing interest in enlisting into the Nigerian police force, there must be people that are patriotic. People are willing to pay the sacrifice to defend the country. It's a sacrifice. Being a member of the Nigerian police force is a sacrifice. Being a member of the Nigerian armed forces is a national sacrifice as well. But here now, we are seeing a situation of biasness. Based on what? Tribe. Based on religion. Based on region. Based on political connection. Does it speak well? It doesn't speak well of a saner country. There's one thing we must understand. We keep repeating the same mistake often and often.
How then should recruitment be made, if not through a
When you are talking about recruitment, it should be purely based on those who are willing to serve. Men and women that are refined in character. When you conduct a forensic audit of most members of the Nigerian police force, most of them, they are not even patriotic. Most of them are not even willing to serve this country, but the struggle for survival. But we need the Nigerian police force to maintain law and order. We need the Nigerian army too, armed forces, in order to defend our territorial sovereignty. But here we are talking about men and women that are refined in character. Honest men and honest women of good report. Now look at the level of corruption being leveled at the highest authority, at the office of the former Inspector General of Police. That he did not just tender his resignation. They wanted to save his face. Privately, there was what we call misappropriation of public funds. It was there. I'm talking about no other person than IGP Ebuseliume. It's there. That is why I keep saying it over and over again. When you occupy a public position, your life becomes public.
So let's also go back a little bit in history. When it comes to pay for job kind of scheme, it's not new. But then it has become a part of the system. And how do we separate these two things? Getting jobs on merit or paying for them through the back door. And the history of pay for job or job racketeering allegations in the Nigerian police force has been a recurring issue for decades. It generally refers to situations where applicants or officers allegedly pay money to secure recruitment, postings, or promotions within the force. Now, early allegations in the 1980s to 1990s, during the military era, Recruitment into the police was often criticized for patronage and unofficial payments. Applicants reportedly pay intermediaries to secure recruitment slots, influence postings, speed up documentations, because recruitment systems were largely manual and poorly monitored. The practice became deeply embedded in some commands. Now, it was manual then, largely manual at that time. Now that the system is moving towards the computer age, now most of it is being done online. Should we still have the same issue repeating itself?
You cannot change the skin of a tiger. Those that are in top of affair, in charge of recruitment, they are to blame. The government have the right to sanction them. Why should you recruit police members of the police force based on religion, based on tribe, based on political connection? It's wrong. That is why in Nigeria today we don't have anything called national army. I stand to be corrected. We don't have anything called national police force. We don't have it.
So what do we have?
We just have people that are tribalists in the Nigerian army, in the Nigerian police force. People that have political connection, and that has been the problem. Those who are actually patriotic, they are willing to defend the territorial sovereignty of the country at all costs.
So what's the solution?
Now look at the Nigerian army. Was there not accusation that we have insurgents among them too? Informants. They are not patriotic. People that are patriotic, they will defend their country. Now look at what is happening presently in the issue of internal security in this country. Police was supposed to be in charge of what? Internal security. But you see the Nigerian police force, Nigerian army now complementing the effort of the Nigerian police force, because the Nigerian police force has failed. Though the number of police officers that we are having, are they enough? We have over 200 million citizens in this country, and the total number of the Nigerian police force on a conservative estimate is less than 400,000. Let's compute it. Are we being fair to ourselves? It's the fault of the government. The most secured citizen in this country is no other person than His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR. He's the most secure.
He gave the direct order to recruit more police officers in their numbers. He said that recently.
Are they enough? We are talking about 200 million plus.
And he also gave the nod.
And we are having a police force less than 400,000.
He also gave the nod to recruiting, starting state policing.
When you are going to recruit, who pays? It's the government that will pay. It's the president that has that authority to say, I want you to recruit more. The process must be transparent. So we have to be honest to ourselves. Then the issue of the capitalist rich too, and the so-called politicians in this country. They are the ones that are well secured. The ordinary Nigerians are not secured. Let me give you an instance. I was telling some people the other day. They said Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR made a lot of revenue, more than any other government that have existed in Nigeria. I said true. But how many numbers of Nigerians has he lifted out of poverty?
Shouldn't that be a question to also ask state governors?
Not just the state government alone. The president is the leader of the nation. When they see that the president is going in the right direction, the state governors have no choice than to follow suit. So we have to ask that question again, that Your Excellency, sir, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, how many Nigerians have you lifted out of poverty?
So is it safe to link this back to policing and say, if care is not taken, Nigeria is still going to face the same issue we are having with the federal police when state policing actually starts?
Definitely it will happen. For the state police, it's going to be worse, because it's going to be based on what? Political affiliation. And the ethnic group where the governor comes from, because he will want his ethnic group to be there. Let me give you an instance. The Igbos, sometimes their heart bleed when this man was assassinated. General, this man, Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi. Who was his orderly then? Lieutenant General T.Y. Danjuma was his orderly. Assuming General Thomas Aguiyi-Ironsi's orderly was an Igbo man, he would not have been assassinated. You are surprised? So that is going to happen in state police too. The governor will be willing to recruit more people from his own ethnic group from his own tribe. Let me give an example now. If you have state police now in Nigeria, and your state governor is coming from Ibadan, definitely Ibadan people will be more.
Of course,
because the governor will feel that these are his own people, kinsmen. They will not assassinate him.
That is expected. Ibadan has 11 local governments.
No, I'm just giving it.
And in terms of landmass, Ibadan is bigger. So you expect Ibadan to have more in terms of numbers.
If the governor is coming from Okogun, the tendency is there for the governor to also recruit one member from Okogun as a member of the state police.
How do you justify that?
Because he wants his life to be secured. Do you understand? He wants his life to be secured. And there is one thing that is very germane. In a multi-complex society or country, any ethnic group that has the highest number of military men and women, they are the strongest. That is why you see the North very strong. They are more in the Nigerian armed forces. They are more in the Nigerian police force. They are more in custom. They are more in immigration.
And then by estimation, of course, by data derived from the 2006 population census, it says the North are more in number.
I disagree.
It's obviously, you expect that to
You cannot expect the Southern Protectorate to accept that population figure. I disagree.
But that's the result of the census.
That the North are more than
that's the result we got from the census.
No,
conducted in 2006, and that was the last time.
The North will not agree if the South is saying that we are more than the North.
So what's the lasting solution to all of this?
The lasting solution, but the buck stop on the table of Mr. President. If he wants transparency in the recruitment process, devoid of what? Tribalism.
Now let's go.
Devoid of what called
just 30 seconds before we go. Now you say the buck stops on the desk of the president.
Yes.
You have not forgotten that all these governors were duly elected too. Their names were on the ballots. And definitely there is little interference the president can have in the affairs of every state. Just very little. So how does the president stop these governors from using their influences, of course, on the state policing, if it eventually starts?
You know, which of the model does Nigeria want to adopt? I wouldn't know the model we want to. We do want to adopt the American model. Because when we are talking about American model, we have the federal police. We have the state police. Right. So if we want to adopt any model, we should think deeply based on our own peculiarities. So when you are talking about the average Nigerian politician, the average Nigerian politician is desperate for power. He wants to retain power at all costs, not minding whose ox is God. It's only Jonathan that behaved like a perfect gentleman when he said, my ambition is not worth the blood of any Nigerian.
Well, the case of Jonathan and some other political leaders is something we'll have to discuss some other time. But then it is time to call it a day on this segment of the show this morning. Thank you, Ofinno Ignatius, for joining us. It has been a very short but insightful few minutes with you on this segment of the show.
Thank you.
We'll do to bring you back some other time and have a fantastic conversation with you once again. And of course, as the debate continues, one thing remains clear. A transparent and accountable promotion system is essential for building a professional police force. When officers are promoted based on merit, competence, and integrity, it does not only boost morale within the ranks, but also strengthen public trust in law enforcement. Addressing corruption allegations, whether proven or perceived, requires openness, institutional reforms, and consistent oversight. Of course, just like I earlier said, we appreciate Ofinno Ignatius for joining us and, of course, for sharing this insight on the important national conversation. And thank you, too, for watching Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. This has been The Big Story. Samson Balogun is my name. Let's go on a quick break. And when we return, we are going to take Trend Watch on this show. We'll be back.